Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. I think what I wanted to do is transition our topic into resilience. The title of today's topic is, in fact, recovering from setbacks, and there are a few pieces to that, and I wanted to break it down into a couple different days. So on Tuesday, I wanted to come back and talk a little bit about what our explanatory style is, and dive into that more deeply. So a lot of our resilience, our ability to recover from setbacks, has to do with a few things, right? It's our cognitive resilience and our emotional resilience. So cognitive resilience is something that we can do to kind of bring a more logical approach to whatever setback that we're having. And I think that it's pretty important that we, if you want to be able to get back up after some kind of setback that you've experienced, setbacks are emotional experiences, and it can be a bit overwhelming, and it's really easy to get lost in that overwhelm. And that's where our mindfulness comes into play, right? Is that setbacks are emotional experiences, right? And emotions manifest physically in the body, and we can see what it is that we're experiencing, and we can kind of have that additional perspective that mindfulness gives by becoming aware of our emotions, and the physical manifestation of the emotions helps give us a little distance between ourselves and our emotions, instead of that being lost in emotions. I'm so upset, I'm so depressed. I can change my perspective, can change the story I'm telling myself by recognizing that I'm telling a story to myself, by recognizing that there is some ability to control what's going on through my awareness of it. Oh, I can experience depression in my body. I feel what sadness, I feel what the feeling of overwhelm feels like, and to recognize that gives me some additional ability to see it clearly, and then seeing it clearly, it begins to discharge by itself. And I think that's really such an important step, and it's that first step that we can have in any kind of challenging situation, is to see it with that kind of clarity that detaches ourselves from it. We see ourselves in the situation instead of being overwhelmed and lost in the situation itself. So cognitive resilience is that this kind of idea that we can see. So mindfulness really is that first step, to see what it is that's going on, and cognitive resilience is a way for us to remind ourselves that things are not necessarily the way that we're telling the story to ourselves. So this involves our negativity bias. So that rustling bush could be a tiger, could be a rabbit. If we err on the side of caution and think that it's a tiger, we live another day, right? And this kind of negativity bias, to always think the worst, is something that's come through, down from our ancestors genetically. And so it's really normal for us to think the worst of a situation, and for us to sometimes get lost in that. I mean, that's part of being human, is to be consumed by those, to be consumed by our negative thoughts. So it's a really normal thing for it to happen to us. And the explanatory style, I mean, that's how do we view our setback? Does the setback seem all encompassing? And I think this tends to happen for a lot of us, and we end up especially in the beginning, And I think that's one of the reasons to use use a recent setback. Have a look at how you most recently reacted to a situation. See if you can be aware of the kind of story that you were telling to yourself as you were going through that situation, and see what emotions were coming up, and can you link those emotions to the physical sensations, and through practice we can have a bit more resilience by recognizing what our emotions are and having that kind of quality of mindfulness that comes as we observe the emotions that we experience during those difficult times. And as we become aware, and I think that, again, this is something that can take time. So, to get lost in an emotion is easy. If we continue to recognize with mindfulness, oh, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling depressed, and we keep recognizing it and acknowledging that it's here, that can continue to build that distance from it. And to recognize that a lot of the times the reactions we have aren't rational. They aren't appropriate for the situation, the kind of catastrophizing that can happen when we experience setbacks. So, welcome to our practice today, everybody. We'll go into some more details about this and about how we talk to ourselves, and specifically about the explanatory styles next time when I come back on Tuesday. So in the meantime, we're going to have some mindfulness practice and also some self-compassion practice, because this is this is one of those things that as we find out that our explanatory style is often this one that the inner voice can say, like, I can't believe I did it again. I can't believe I made that mistake. And then maybe harsh words, I'm so stupid, and things like this come up. And so self-compassion is one of those practices that you can do anytime, and it's one of those practices that helps to replace those kind of harsh words. And it can be very helpful, especially when we notice that's happening. And so practicing here and now as we become mindful when those kind of situations happen, you hear that inner monologue saying those things, and you recognize, oh, this is happening. So can I replace those things that I'm saying to myself with something that's a little bit kinder? And you'll find that this can really be helpful in stopping those unhelpful thoughts. So let's get into our practice. Find a comfortable seated posture wherever you are. Allowing your eyes to close if you like, or choosing to have a soft gaze in front of you at about a 45-degree angle downwards. Noticing that you're breathing. And starting to check in with the body. What do you feel? Do you find any tension? So I'm moving my neck around. I feel a bit of tension in my shoulders and my neck. Just seeing if we can potentially help allow that stress to dissolve just by becoming aware of it. Seeing if we can focus the mind on the rhythm of the breath, on the inhalation, the exhalation. Just a little bit of focus, even if you're only able to focus on the breath for one full inhalation, one full exhalation, you can find that focusing here on this present moment sensation can help to calm the mind, calm the body. Remembering that mind wandering is okay. It's something that happens naturally. So gently, as best we can, holding the attention on the breath, the physical sensations, the body expanding as we breathe in, contracting as we breathe out. And of course, you'll discover that self-compassion is something that can be cultivated even here within our mindfulness practice. As the mind wanders away, we sometimes get frustrated with ourselves. Maybe there's not even a harsh inner monologue, just a harsh attitude towards ourselves as we lose our ability to focus. So each time we bring the mind back, that's an opportunity for self-compassion. This practice is hard. It's not something that comes naturally and comes easily. So be kind to yourself each time you notice the mind wanders, each time you bring your attention back to that physical sensation of breathing. Now let's begin to shift into our period of self-compassion practice. So first, seeing what it's like, if it's possible for you to have an attitude of unconditional love towards yourself. Knowing that it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, what your attitude towards yourself is right now, whether you're perfect, whether you're flawed, or probably we're all flawed. Is it possible to love yourself right now exactly as you are, instead of waiting for yourself to be perfect? Because if you wait to be perfect, you're going to be waiting forever. So now is the time for you to open your arms and love yourself exactly as you are. So is it possible? Maybe remembering what unconditional love from another felt like or feels like. And seeing if you can give yourself that same kind of quality of unconditional love. Knowing that you don't need to be perfect, you don't need to be worthy. You can be loving to yourself right now, in this moment, exactly as you are. No matter what you may feel or think about yourself. And so for some of us, this is really challenging. So what can be helpful, instead of just trying to create some kind of feeling, is using a few phrases to help change our attitudes towards ourselves. And so you can use any phrases that work for you. Or you can use some of these phrases that I tend to use, that things that we tend to share with the rest of humanity. So follow along with me if you like. May I be happy and contented. May I be happy and contented. May I be safe and protected, free from inner and outer harm. May I be safe and protected, free from inner and outer harm. May I be healthy and whole, to whatever degree possible. May I be healthy and whole. May I be at peace. May I have ease of well-being. May I be at peace. May I have ease of well-being. May I have the courage to love myself exactly as I am. May I have the courage to love myself exactly as I am. Now, if one of these 5 phrases resonates with you a bit more, I would encourage you to try it more often, so that when you do mindfully notice that your reaction to yourself is not a one of encouragement, maybe one of destruction instead. Can you remember this phrase, and can you try to repeat it to yourself in that time? May I be happy and contented. May I be safe and protected, free from inner and outer harm. May I be healthy and whole. May I be at peace. May I have ease of well-being. May I have the courage to love myself exactly as I am. So it's possible that some strong emotions have shown up since we've been doing this practice together. So let's recenter our attention on our breath. And taking a deeper breath in now. And a slow, long breath out. Releasing any strong emotions as best we can. And seeing if we can focus our attention completely on the breath for 3 more breaths. And now I'll close our meditation practice with the bell. 3 rings of the bell. Thank you for practicing with me. Thanks for being here with everybody here today. I wish you all the best wherever you are. And I wish you all to have the courage to love yourself exactly as you are. This you is the only you that you have. How'd it go today? How's your practice? Any questions or comments? Thanks, Louisa. I know lives. I was about to recommend some recordings. Of course, I do have 20 plus free recordings, and I think 3 premium tracks that you can use. I suppose it is a bit different though, practicing together live, isn't it? So, it's good to be back. Kids are on autumn break. Not that there's any season here. I'm still sweating quite a lot here in like late October now. So it's been I don't know. I'm happy to have a bit more space. I do miss I miss the doing the practice live like every day like I used to, but at the same time I do like, it is nice to get enough sleep. Uh, it was a little bit harder to get out of bed at this morning. I think maybe partially too because I've just been hanging out with the kids on their break and staying up late. It's just it's just how it goes. I suppose if I got used to waking up at the same time, waking up at 4:45 every morning, then it'd be easier to do. Thanks, CC, for your donation. Yeah, looking forward to. Halloween's gonna be fun. I know my kids go to American school, and there's a American community around there, and it's really a pretty crazy Halloween time. Again, will be my first Halloween in Singapore since I had kids, so it's gonna be. I've seen photos of it. It looks really crazy, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'll try and get my kids out of there before the crowds start to hit. So how's everybody doing with self-compassion and resilience and setbacks? I guess that's something I'd like to know more about if you're willing to share. Any let's I'm just like looking through some of my old materials. Optimism, right? Cultivating optimism is something that can be learned. So it's like, what are the 3 steps for cultivating optimism? Or being aware of your own negativity bias. Second step is mindfulness, so that you can be aware of your emotions, kind of what we've been talking about. And the last step is transformation. So is it possible? How can you transform any harmful or disempowering views of yourself in the situation towards looking at the situation that enables greater growth, appreciation, or self-compassion? So, that really, I guess that does kind of summarize what I've said in the first 10 minutes. And I think that's there's that key moment, right? I mean, this is what what mindfulness is for, and why mindfulness is the basis of pretty much all the teachings that I do on here, is because of that moment. Is it possible for you to tune into that moment? Just that it's that same moment that when you get lost, when you're trying to focus on your breath and you're not focused on your breath, and you realize that you're not focused on your breath. It's that same kind of moment where you can realize, oh, hey, wait a minute, I'm not reacting to this situation in the way that's most beneficial to me. In fact, I'm reacting in a destructive way, and that moment is really the most powerful moment. And if you have some strategy, kind of what to do, then this is why we practice self-compassion, because once you use mindfulness to tap into that moment, then we can start to transform that moment through our practice. So I've practiced saying, "May I be happy and contented." May I be happy and contented is often an antidote to this feeling of depression and self-destruction that we may feel sometimes. Jean says, I used to be quite hard on myself and still sometimes do, but practicing self-compassion daily has made a difference. Yeah, I mean, you need, so it's like the mindfulness is that moment, and then I have a chance to look at my toolbox and go, well, what do I have over here that I can plug into this situation? And so, I go back to my beginning of mindfulness. Like, this toolbox over here is inaccessible if you don't have the mindfulness first. Because I remember like wanting to be a better parent and taking a parenting course, right? And I got out of the course, it was kind of like, okay, here's the toolbox. So I had the toolbox, but unfortunately I was never able to open it. Oh, I was able to open it, but it was never in time to use it, right? I mean, that was it's like the situation passed. My opportunity to be better, to be a better parent in this case, passed me by. And I lost that. And that was it. So after it was over, I go, oh, hey, wait a minute. This is what I could have done in that situation. Which you go, well, it's not, I mean, hindsight is, it's good to remember what I could have done, but wow, I feel a bit of regret that I actually didn't know how to open it in that moment. And that's really where the mindfulness practice is so powerful. All right. I'll come back on Tuesday. I kept, honestly, today I kept wanting to go to my Tuesday. I was really thinking about my Tuesday session a lot because I have something that I really like in that, and the explanatory styles as we go a bit deeper into that. I kept thinking about it, but didn't want to steal my thunder for Tuesday. So come back on Tuesday. I'll talk about the different kinds of explanatory styles that we have in ourselves, and as well as how we tend to make our problems, how our own explanatory style to ourselves tends to make the problems even bigger than they actually are. All right. Let's close our practice the way that we do, with some self-compassion and as well some compassion to each other who's here today and to the rest of the world. May I be happy and peaceful. May all of you watching and listening right now, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life in this world and around the universe be happy and peaceful. Thanks, everybody. Frank must know, right? He hears the well wishes and he's like, it's time for me to get my food. It's time for you to get your food, Frank. Ready? See you Tuesday. Bye-bye.